Alright, welcome back to Jake Building a Floor. So today I start on the passenger rear where everything's rusted through. This piece here, I bent it in my homemade brake and set it in there, and look, it actually looks really good in my mind. So this piece has a little radius back there. You can see where the spare tire, the tire sits. So there, this fancy little tool I bought helps me to create the radius. I smashed it on the fender piece, then I take it, hold it correctly, and guess what you got? A template in seconds. Best tools ever for stuff that's not straight ever. So with that notched out, I was able to slide that piece back, and you can see I got the hole back there for the body mount. That thing right there. And yeah, so it's all ready to go. I got my sheet metal screws in it, or my redneck Kegels. And I got this piece all built. I just made a template out of cardboard stuff that I got, and built that. I got to bang that corner down and fit that corner. So it looks more like this when it's done. So I got it all welded in. Look at that thing. Floor's getting stronger, getting better. And I also, while I was there, did, that little Tetris piece right back there. Because everything was rusted to pieces, you got to fix it. So with that piece in, this piece in, it's starting to get a little more rigid. Getting super excited. Now I'm over here on the driver's side. And guess what? I have that piece, and I made another one. Because I want this car to be done and stable and strong. So I built this one, set it up there. I think it looks pretty dang good. So I cut it, ground it, weld it, fitted it, made it in, make it pretty. With it all in there looking pretty, you know what you got to do next? You got to look at it with a seat on it. So I put the seat on it to make sure the hump fits. It's the first time I fit this stuff, and I'm so excited. But there's little brackets that go right in this area and that area. And these clips sit there, and the seat sits on that, and that's what holds your rear seat in. So I've got to put those in. So I have all these measurements and marks, and I put these little baby clips. So there's the clip. That right there holds my seat in. So each side's tacked in and welded. Those are the original little clips. They go right in that little spot on the seat. You can see both little metal parts sticking out. So with those things tacked in and welded, the seat fall apart everywhere. Anyways. So look at my beautiful seat. This is how you pick up chicks. You get a seat like that. Oh yeah. Anyway, so the clips worked. I had to make sure the back was in, the bottom was in, everything. Hump looks good. Super excited. So now I got to build the next part of the floor. This is that floor protector I was talking about. I took this and I draw my pattern and I measure everything. So this is the bracing underneath. I didn't want anything under, so I put that's my seat holes I'm pointing at. And then these are just sections I'm going to bead roll out to get a cool visual. And I just trace the whole thing onto the metal with some magnets holding it down, mark it all, cut it all, and you get a big giant floor pan that matches. Now, this is the sections I bead roll so that it looks more like this. And I used it and flipped it over to create that mirrored image. So when you look at this, I have it all screwed in. Looks pretty dang good if you ask me. There you go. Now this time it's all welded in. So now that big panel, I use wherever I was screwing through, and I would weld the screw hole solid also. So that way I have good penetrations everywhere. But this is the next piece, and to proof that I actually built it, here's the piece of steel, traced out my pattern on it, mirrored image for passenger and driver side. This is me looking at and using my tools. You know when you buy a tool and you never know if you're going to use it? Guess what? I actually use this one, and I love this tool. The bead roller makes those really cool patterns. But if you look really close, you will see the most intense face you've ever seen on a man. Ready? Look at that right there. That is a Jake concentrated on a straight line. Bead rolling. So look at him. Here we go. Whoa. I have like a 8-year-old holding the camera who can't focus. Changes the voices the whole time, but if you look at my sheer focus, I am not worried about the camera suck. I am worried about a straight line that will be seen by posterity for years to come. But this video takes very long. So after the first round, you tighten it up and you go again and again and again, and you get these beautiful patterns. So there's a beautiful pattern like that. It's all screwed in. This is all welded in. Everything's looking good. I'm super proud, so I show you 100,000 times. Now it's welded in on this side. Look at that. All that stuff that's probably should be ground off and never shown on video, I'm showing you on video. So you got all this. That's the hole saw. That's how I drill my little frame mount holes. Boom, boom, boom. Welded, 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 welded. Then I got the passenger side here. I threw the seat in, and I was like, well, I'm just going to take a piece of steel, hit it with a hammer 100,000 times, and set it in there. And guess what? It looks pretty good. But I had to put these seats in because you can't make car noises and sit in the air. So I put the seats in so I can sit there, hold the steering wheel, make car noises. Vroom, vroom. But I got to figure out how to sit there and feel the brake and clutch area. So I decided I used to have stuff through the floor. Forget that. I can't figure it out. It's old school. No one cares. It blocks a lot of stuff. So I use those hanging pedals from Willwood that you saw. And voila. I now can just make an easy panel to fill this in. But to help fill this panel in, before I waste my metal, I start thinking and thinking. I got to build brackets to hold my brakes. I got to build this. I got to build that. But let's focus back to the floor. I have no focus, do I? So back to the floor, I built cardboard. And this cardboard I could then cut and fit to kind of make sure I kept my headlight switch, which was a useless idea, and make sure that I fit this other radiuses. I can draw where my bend line goes and the shape. And you can see I got to lengthen it a little. So when I trace it right here onto the steel, you can tell my bend line comes in, and I make it a little longer, and then that's where I got to bead roll a cool oval, which actually screws me up all kinds in the future. But it looks way better. It kind of looks like a Texas right now, but that's the shape it turned into. I bead roll my little swimming pool in there. Look at that. And after you bead roll the swimming pool thing looking in there, it looks really pretty. It looks like professional. I take it to my redneck Jake brake right there. I built this piece of junk out of some pipe. But when you put your steel in there and you yank up on that giant handle I built, you can bend stuff. Look at that bend. And I just thought, I would show my expert, I am such a good bead roller. Walk through my dirty shop, walk through my dirty shop. La 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 la. I'm trotting around and frolicking. You see my floor jack? That's what happens when you have kids. They just leave it up all the time. Anyways, I get over here to the shop, back to the car, and look. First time, perfect fit. What? Of course it's perfect. It's the first time. Alright, I'm lying. I didn't really get it the first time. But after beating with a hammer, I was able to weld it in. So now I built all this flooring, all the hump, all of its welding, and everything is basically done. I'm super proud of how it all looks. And once you get done with a floor and you got brake pedals, what do? You climb in the car, put your feet on the floor, and you make car sounds. And that's how you play with a car, because you're bored and you weld it all day. So after I screwed around and played car noises, I primed the whole thing because it sits in the rain while I work on it. I'm super happy that the paint hid a lot of the bad welding and horrible grinding. And this all gets covered up with carpet, sound deadener, foam, padding, all kinds of crap. So most of this is overkill. But thank you for watching my amazing floor video. I don't know what I'm going to be posting on next. I got to figure a few things out, but I am super excited.